So we're fundamentally talking here about projects in a software and services context. The difference here is that there is AI involved somewhere in the chain. And so many of the issues, as Phil has already mentioned, will be the familiar issues that we have to deal with in software and services contracts. But what does the addition of AI into the mix really mean? It means that there's going to be, in all likelihood, some form of neural network-based system involved in the delivery model. And that essentially adds in 4 new components to the mix that we really need to consider. The first of those is that there is going to be an AI model itself. This is the data structure that is the neurons, the layers of neurons, and how they're interconnected to each other that effectively forms the basis of the AI that can then be trained. Separate to that, there is software that effectively runs the AI. That's the software that has been used to create that structure and is, at the time of inference, used to push data through the trained structure and get results, or at the time of training is used to assess the difference between the results that the AI produces and a perfect result, adjust the model and train the AI that way. There's then, at the end of the training process, the trained AI itself. This is the optimized set of weights and biases, the data structure that is the really valuable output of the training of the model. And then last, there are the various different data sets that are used as part of the training, testing, and production inference phases of the model. Essentially 3 different data sets there. We've got the training data. This is the data that is usually human labeled data that is used to take the initial untrained model and gradually iterate towards a trained and ideally superhuman level of performance. There's the testing data, which necessarily needs to be separate to ensure that we aren't simply testing that the model is performing a task with a very narrow data set, that it has general application. And then there is the production data that is used when the model is being put into use. And obviously, as the model is used more and more and more, that production data can itself become testing or training data in order to create the future iterations of the model that will improve over time. So those 4 different elements then need to be addressed in the contracts between the parties.